What's up guys, Sam from Press Start. Today I want to discuss why all of my video game characters look exactly the same. The video game industry is saturated with various storylines, diverse characters, and unique worlds. Even within genres, games can differ greatly. The FPS genre has games from Call of Duty to Wolfenstein, Doom to Borderlands, Half-Life to Counter-Strike, Halo to Bulletstorm. Action games like Devil May Cry to Batman, Assassin's Creed to Dead Space, and various other games from Uncharted to BioShock and Zelda to The Wolf Among Us. But many of these games have one thing in common: the protagonist. It seems that in today's video game era, the go-to character is a 20 or 30-something-year-old white man. Max Payne, Serious Sam, Nathan Drake, Ethan Mars, Leon Kennedy, Tommy Vercetti, even Link. E3 2014 featured at least 40 game protagonists that were nearly indistinguishable, as if every game coming out now needs to have a white male protagonist for it to be successful. My problem with this is that players are being forced to do exciting things as the same white man in every game. Not only do they get to save Chicago in Watch Dogs, but they save New York in The Division, Philadelphia in Homefront, and Seattle in Second Son. Plus, they can control time in Quantum Break and travel through time in Dark Dreams Don't Die. All this fun stuff is done by the same person. Now, admittedly, some games need white male characters for explainable reasons. Shadow of Mordor, for example, is lore-based, and thus the character would not be a black or Hispanic woman. Niko Bellic is an Eastern European in Grand Theft Auto 4 and is more convincing as a white man. However, games like Call of Duty and Battlefield have always been played as a white, usually mute man. Of course, they can give some power to a black man by giving him a position of authority, but these characters bring nothing to the actual game other than some sparse diversity. Non-white characters do exist, but there's no doubt to that, but they're usually put in roles that require those races and ethnicities. A white police officer going into the Chinese gang underworld and Sleeping Dogs would make no sense, so Wei Shen is a reasonable and excellent character, despite him being the only person in China who doesn't speak Chinese. San Andreas was a social commentary from Rockstar on the issues spreading through Los Angeles during the mid-90s, so a young, troubled black man struggling with the battle between law and crime makes CJ the perfect fit. And of course, there are plenty of non-white protagonists in video games in racially ambiguous roles, like Coach, Lewis, and Rochelle from Left 4 Dead, Jacob Taylor in Mass Effect, Augustus Cole in Gears of War, Shiva Alomar in Resident Evil, or Marcus Reed in True Crime New York City. But these are small pools of nameable characters compared to the vast ocean of white men that lead most games. Google's search of white male characters will result in pages and pages of the same face with different names, while searching black characters results in a much shorter list, and Hispanic results in the top 5 list, for suggesting that there are not many more to choose from. Asian protagonists are usually represented as kung fu masters, sidekicks with very poor English, or large-chested eye candy. Sure, you get Ryo Hazuki, Faith Connors, and Ada Wong, but how do they stack up to other game protagonists? Certain games do let you create your own character, but the defaults are usually the archetypal white character. Mass Effect starts both male and femshep off as white. Sunset Overdrive's protagonist is a young white guy by default. Dragon Age allows you some diversity, but you're limited. Granted, most of the characters look kind of derpy regardless of the race you desire. Saints Row gives you a variety of options beforehand, including black, Asian, and Hispanic men and women, but they use the stoic, chisel-chinned white man as their poster boy. What does that say about the industry when the cover of every video game seems to have the same white man staring back at you, telling you to buy him? Now, it's not that these games are bad solely due to the race of their protagonists. Some of them are bad because they're just bad. Perhaps I'm alone here, but I prefer a little more authenticity in this day and age by diversifying playable characters. James Mercer made me feel incredibly powerful in Prototype 2, mostly because I saw him as an individual, a different character. Rather than shooting tendrils out of my arm as John Marsden, I was shooting them from a character I'd never seen or played before. Darcy Stern from the 1999 Policecape Urban Chaos is one of my all-time favorite video game characters. She was a rough and tough urban Lara Croft with the batch, and she owned it completely. Rico Rodriguez from Just Cause 2 is a ridiculously dramatic yet suave, questionably psychotic action super agent who looks exactly like Nathan Drake's Hispanic brother. But his charm and unique personality distinguish him from other action game heroes despite his terrible accent. A study published in the 2014 Social, Psychological, and Personality Science showed that black protagonist characters in violent video games make white players more aggressive compared to white protagonists. Perhaps these results alone may be enough for some developers and gamers to justify the lack of black and other non-white social groups represented in games. But this study did not measure if this trend is the same with black players, Asian players, Hispanic players, or any other player that's not white. Additionally, the study ignores the impacts that Hispanic, Asian, homosexual, or any other minority characters may have. The participants were subjected to play Saints Row 2, which is known for being ridiculously yet comically violent. Perhaps the results of the study would be different if the participants played alternatively violent games like Infamous, Halo, or Diablo, rather than an open-world crime game like Saints Row or Grand Theft Auto. Now, I have no doubt that the video game industry has come a long way. Video games have a wider variety of characters and developers have a wider variety of employees, but we do still have a long way to go. Many games are the same stories with supposedly different characters and dialogue, but the minds behind the games are not diverse enough, and we instead play the same game over and over again. I hope that as the industry continues to expand and include creators and gamers of various backgrounds, the games that developers and producers put out will create new characters that better represent the real diversity of the gaming community. In the meantime, I suppose playing different variations of Troy Baker will have to suffice.